Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar Maximizing ROI in Large-Scale S/4HANA Transformation Projects. And in today's webinar, I have my panel with me, Rakesh Shah, the co-founder of Trijotech, as well as he has been in SAP industry for last 20 plus years. Also on the panel is Ravi Nanduri. Has been a veteran in SAP and has driven very large-scale billion-dollar transformation for billion-dollar companies, and he has been instrumental in building solutions for all the major industry sectors, basically. And also, I'm Rakesh Kumar. I'm co-founder and director at Trijotech, and I'm into BTP analytics and FP&A space for quite a long time, 18 plus years. And we'll try to cover most of the aspects which comes across in S/4HANA transformation. So, brief overview agenda. So, what are the benefits we are going to get out of when we go for S/4HANA? So, when you are an ECC user and you go for a S/4HANA transformation, what are the things you are going to basically get out of your S/4HANA transformation? That is one. Then we have what are the opportunities we have in terms of if we go for S/4HANA migration, what are the opportunities that we can leverage when we go for S/4HANA? And then what are the new age tools like Signavio, EML, SAP BTP, and what are the services, number of services that we can have in SAP BTP? And then finally, a small introduction to what are the cloud offerings of SAP in terms of price and public cloud, basically, grow with SAP. Yes, so let's go ahead. So when I talk about benefits, I mean, Rakesh has been part of some of the very big implementations, like, in Middle East, in Europe and US. So maybe Rakesh, you can touch upon this.
So thanks, Rakesh. So basically, we are addressing two scenarios here. One is the greenfield implementation. The other is the brownfield, which normally we are calling as a migration. So I will be speaking more from a migration perspective because that is where the comparison comes with the system, right? So there are obvious reasons why we are going for migrations. Number one. Number two, what are the things which you need to look into from a business process changes, which basically you need to bring onto the table as an S4 advantage. So some pointers around these areas, especially focusing on the ROI part, right? So what exactly ROI for the business is? Yeah. So to start with, basically these are some statistics which we have picked up. So you can see that there are major advantages coming from the ECC. So from when we migrate from ECC to S4. So I'll not discuss more on the statistics, but let's go on to the deep dive onto some of the major other aspects.
Right. So when we talk about the S/4HANA transformations or migrations, whether it is greenfield or brownfield, what is the I would say low-hanging fruit which business can immediately start leveraging?
So there are a couple of things which are coming from the S4 perspective. One major change which we see is the GUI part, which basically is a web-based now, which is called a Fiori. SAP, this is a major transformation if you see from a user perspective or from a business perspective, because Fiori apps comes with a lot of advantages which normally don't get under the normal GUI. So SAP has come out with some 15,000 plus apps as of date, and it is still growing on this app. So
plus apps are there for your reporting. So if you are going for from ECC to S/4HANA, it is not like just another vehicle for you. Like it's a completely different vehicle where you have a lot of functionality. If you are not aware or you are not aware of those functionality, you cannot leverage them. So
correct.
For you and if you go for a transformation, so in the very beginning of your say design or explore phase, you should look at what are those standard Fiori apps or relevant for you. What is the other benefits of Fiori?
So apart from this, so when you look to Fiori, especially from the reporting perspective, transaction is fine. Transaction maintenance But from a reporting perspective, you should understand that S4 HANA is, when you talk about S4 HANA, it is a mixture of OLAP and OLTP, analytical as well as the transactional list. So when you combine these two, you get a bigger picture of the business. So you have 360-degree analytics available for your operational purposes. So that is one of the major benefits which business has to look into.
One key pointer which I also feel, which is that I don't need to train the user on the Fury apps. More or less, they're very intuitive. Maybe you couple of times you explain to them and then they can start using it. So major benefit of onboarding your user is much easier. Also, you don't need to have hundreds of your ABAP report, which he said collab feature is now embedded. You CDS view and Fury as a front end. So definitely. And in today's webinar, I have my panel with me, Rakesh Shah, the co-founder of Trijotech, as well as he has been in SAP industry for last 20 plus years. Also on the panel is Ravi Nanduri. He has been a veteran in SAP and has driven very large-scale billion-dollar transformation for billion-dollar companies, and he has been instrumental in building solutions for all the major industry sectors, basically. And also, I'm Rakesh Kumar. I'm co-founder and director at Trijotech, and I'm into BTP analytics and FP&A space for quite a long time, 18 plus years. And we'll try to cover most of the aspects which comes across in S4HANA transformation. So, brief overview agenda. So, what are the benefits we are going to get out of when we go for S4HANA? So, when you are an ECC user and you go for a S4HANA transformation, what are the things you are going to basically get out of your S4HANA transformation? That is one. Then we have what are the opportunities we have in terms of if we go for S4HANA migration, what are the opportunities that we can leverage when we go for S4HANA? And then what are the new age tools like Signavio, EML, SAP BTP, and what are the services, number of services that we can have in SAP BTP? And then finally, a small introduction to what are the cloud offerings of SAP in terms of price and public cloud, basically, grow with SAP. Yes, so let's go ahead. So when I talk about benefits, I mean, Rakesh has been part of some of the very big implementations, like, in Middle East, in Europe and US. So maybe Rakesh, you can take up on touch upon this.
So thanks, Rakesh. So basically, we are addressing two scenarios here. One is the greenfield implementation. The other is the brownfield, which normally we are calling as a migration. So I will be speaking more from a migration perspective because that is where the comparison comes with the system, right? So there are obvious reasons why we are going for migrations, number one. Number two, what are the things which you need to look into from a business process changes, which basically you need to bring onto the table as an S4 advantage. So some pointers around these areas, especially focusing on the ROI part, right? So what exactly ROI for the business is. Yeah, so to start with, basically, these are some statistics which we have picked up. So you can see that there are major advantages coming from the ECC. So from when we migrate from ECC to S4. So I'll not discuss more on the statistics, but let's go on to the deep dive onto some of the major other aspects.
Right. So when we talk about the S4HANA transformations or migrations, whether it is greenfield or brownfield, what is the, I would say, low-hanging fruit which business can immediately start, leveraging?
So there are a couple of things which are coming from the S4 perspective. One major change which we see is the GUI part, which basically is a web-based now, which is called a Fury. SAP, this is a major transformation if you see from a user perspective or from a business perspective, because Fury apps comes with a lot of advantages which normally don't get under the normal GUI. So there are SAP has come out with some 15,000 plus apps as of date, and it's so there are a couple of things which are coming from the S4 perspective. One major change which we see is the GUI part, which basically is a web-based now, which is called a Fury. SAP, this is a major transformation if you see from a user perspective or from a business perspective, because Fury apps comes with a lot of advantages which normally don't get under the normal GUI. So there are so SAP has come out with some 15,000 plus apps as of date, and it is still growing on this app.
Reporting. So if you are going for from ECC to S/4HANA, it is not like
out of
just
these
another vehicle, but
15,000 Fiori
it's a
apps, I think
completely different
some
vehicle.
of them are
where you have
master
lot of
apps and some
functionality,
are
you are not
your
aware
purely
of-
your
you are
transactions
not
and
aware
some
of
are your
those functionality. You
reports.
cannot leverage
So
them.
it's a pretty exhaustive list of Fiori apps basically. Yeah.
And if you do for transformation, so in the very beginning of your say design or explore phase, you should look at what are those standard Fiori apps or relevant for you.
From this, so when you look to a Fiori, especially from the reporting perspective, okay, transaction is fine, right? Transaction maintenance also. But from a reporting perspective, you should understand that S/4HANA is, when you talk about S/4HANA, it is a mixture of OLAP and OLTP, analytical as well as the transaction list. So when you combine these two, you get a bigger picture of the business. So you have 360-degree analytics available for your operational purposes. So that is one of the major benefits which business has to look into.
One key pointer which I also feel, which is that I don't need to train the user on the Fiori apps. More or less, they're very intuitive. Maybe a couple of times you explain to them and then they can start using it. So major benefit of onboarding your user is much easier. Also, you don't need to have hundreds of your ABAP report, which he said OLAP feature is now embedded. You CDS view and Fiori as a front end. So definitely that's a big game changer if you go for any S/4HANA. So you don't need to remember so many T codes or build so many custom reports. And I mean, always you have to look at the finer prints of what is available, but generally for each area, supply chain or finance or procurement areas of SAP, there are a number of Fiori apps available, and you can leverage them. Yeah.
So that's a straight ROI for the business.
Yeah. I think another major aspect which you keep hearing now from SAP and from the overall community, or as well on LinkedIn or on the SAP community platform, is low code, no code, and also on the clean code. So, what is your point of view on that?
Yeah. So if I'll give you a case study how it basically happens. Just a short one. So if you are running on your ECC or previous versions, you are hanging on this system from say last 10, 15 years.
Right.
You have a big baggage which you carry along with the customer enhancements. So those can be offloaded from the main track and can be put into something called BTP. So this core will become very simple and lightweighted, and it's very easy for future upgrades and future innovations getting into the system and everything. So your future cost, which involves in the say time and the cost for upgrades and other factors which you consider, that can be offloaded the BTP, and this can be very clean and very quick one. So this is an indirect ROI for the business in a long-term perspective.
I think your maintenance cost goes drastically down. Your future maintenance cost goes drastically down. And also the Gen AI features, a lot of things will come in the next slide. World altogether, which can give you lots of benefits which you cannot have at this point with ECC or your traditional ERPs, basically. Yeah.
This is an important factor moving forward, which everybody has to look into.
Absolutely. This is something a shift in your design. So you cannot.
Pointers, Ravi, from your side.
Yeah, that aside, there are a lot of things that you can do. In fact, we're talking about low code, no code. It's just not that. I mean, basically, we can also, build small utilities of the other kind, which you can actually, connect with your S4, and need not be strictly Java driven or ABAP driven, like the usual SAP products. They may be far simpler, far lighter, and little more agile in terms of functionalities. That is an option that you have from BTP and working also at the core.
Right. Okay. Now, I think one of the major aspects now coming with businesses is that shift in the mindset from the on-premise to the cloud-based solution approach. And with this, you need to change the way you are operating. So, if you are thinking about, large scale infrastructure to be set up, large scale team to maintain those systems, that is not required anymore. And there's a major shift in organization that you move to your OPEX model. Like, I mean, this is the next generation, so you kind of don't need to pay upfront everything, and you can go for a subscription based model, and that helps you to cut back on your large scale investment, and you can only go for the chosen area which you need, because if you have invested too much on your licenses and all, and later on you find that they are not relevant for you, that's also a big loss in terms of money, right? So when you decide on the OPEX model with the current tenancy approach with BTP and even S/4HANA Rise with SAP or public cloud, it's a leaner approach of investment. So yeah, that's a big benefit to the businesses. Now, of course, you get the digitization and benefits.
In fact, Rakesh, here, what we can add is, if you look at the way the business are growing to nowadays, everything is on digital cloud. So your system cannot be away from this particular thing. So S/4HANA enables that. So with ECC, it's very difficult to move on to the digitization. There is some possibility, but again, that flexibility is not available. But S/4HANA is by design enabled for that digitization. So this gives a added advantage of the business to face the future competitions.
No, I think overall, all the organizations have gone for digitization. With your traditional ECC approach, you cannot achieve a lot of things.
Exactly.
Let's say an OCR is an example. You can scan your documents and get your invoices posted in SAP. That's something very basic now available, which you cannot think of in 5 years ago with your ECC based approach. Or GenAI features are added even in OCR. It has added those services inside BTP. Like that, you have DMS. You don't need so many servers, so many systems to maintain those services. Just have one BTP where you can activate those services and start using it. So that's a huge advantage in terms of infrastructure cost saving and simplify the architecture, I can say, instead of having too many things in your plate, basically. Yeah. Right. So overall, I think these are the key, I would say, pointers in terms of.
Another point here I would like to bring is when you look from an S4 perspective, so when you go for a transformation, you should look at your existing process, look from a standardization perspective. Because SAP S/4HANA is coming with so many innovations and the best industry best practices that you can look at your process and compare with the standardization. Maybe there is a possibility, there is a scope for you to get onto the standardization, which will really help the business in terms of faster operations, and good kind of, because you are on the standard platform, you always have an advantage of SAP for all the future innovations and stuff like that.
Right. I mean, a lot of things SAP has kind of innovated in recent 3-4 years, I would say. And you can leverage all those things if you go for the S/4HANA. And I would say you should be aware about those functionalities, then you can take the benefit of it. Go ahead, please. So typically, when we go for any ECC to S4 migrations, the first thing anybody wants to do is lift and shift and kind of
The easiest way of going to the migration, but that's not the healthy way, I would say. Yeah. So basically, when you go for a migration, you should always think into 2-3 aspects. One is the processes which you are already using, the customization which you are actually piled up in your the old system or the legacy system. You need to have a revisit of all those things and see how you can really leverage the standards which are coming from the S4. So that whenever you think of lift and shift, you should actually try to compare those functionalities which are available as a standard functionalities into the S4HANA, so that you can avoid this lift and shift and get onto the new platform.
Yeah, I think one of the major aspect is that your old practices or your old baggage that is there, let's say custom report or custom process, or so many bodies are written, you can reimagine them or redesign them in a better way with the S/4HANA system and with BTP landscape, basically. So you need to definitely address that, because a lot of benefits that you can get. Let's say a small example would be,
Imagine you have a sales order created, and that
information goes in WhatsApp to the customer acknowledges and confirms, the confirmation goes to your S4HANA system again via BTP, and then once the customer receives the delivery, he can acknowledge and he can confirm and upload the image of the goods basically, and that image gets stored in the DMS sort of service in SAP BTP. Along with this, we can further have invoicing, billing, and payment automation also being received by the customer through WhatsApp or through a portal solution. Now, this sort of thing is pretty difficult to have tight integration with, let's say, an ECC solution. So again, this is a huge
Yes,
opportunity for you
basically,
if you're going with SAP
like I said,
BTP along with your S4HANA. Basically,
most of the people over the years have enhanced the requirements or add on as and when required. That doesn't actually have the best design. It's just a patch work. At the end of the day, the whole process would not be really effective or efficient. This is the opportunity to actually look at the process and then redesign it so that you work more efficiently, because it has been patchwork all along. I mean, not out of choice but out of necessity. You keep building patches over the years, and then so basically lifting the baggage and moving it there would not be the best of the things to do.
Right. Thanks, Ravi.
In terms of functional enhancements, Rakesh, what is
so initially when we are discussing on the advantages, right? So one of the pointers which a business has to look into is, when you move on to S4, I was saying it is more than a technology, right? There are a lot of functionalities coming onto the plate. So you may be having other processes which are you're basically doing outside the legacy system. Like, say, take an example of simple legal consultation. Now, legal consultation you may be doing in BPC in the existing platform, or maybe you have some third-party system where you do this consolidation. But now SAP S4HANA comes with a lot of inbuilt functionalities, for enhanced functionalities, I would say, which will address those things also by eliminating a lot of middleware systems. So group reporting, PAPM, and there is some advanced analytics. So ICMR, intercompany management. This is one of the biggest headache for many of the organizations. Matching the intercompany, doing the matching of the intercompany transactions. So all these aspects are now a part of S4HANA, and the business should understand this and take the advantage of this particular functionalities, and this will enhance their business functionality, and the closure of the entity closure or the group closure the period can be shortened, and you can focus on more other activities rather than on this particular point. So these are the advantages you should take from when you go for a large scale improvement. You should have these pointers in the mind, and then probably move forward on this journey. Ravi sir, your inputs here?
Yes, you're right, because like I said, you use the same inputs, you use the same guys and the same time to deliver something else.
Right.
We had an organization where they were not, they were spending 15 days closing their books because they had not automated their processes for closing. That was a procurement-driven organization. We enabled we automated their closing. The same guys were then focusing on predicting and getting the raw material cheaper. That was resulted in huge savings. I mean, basically, you save your time and effort. You use the same thing. The same set of people who are buying it, better. So it was a double-edged advantage.
It works as a double platform.
Yeah.
So I think reviewing existing customization, I guess, is we have talked about. So when you embark on your journey of your S4HANA transformations, you need to go through what is the custom objects and whether they are relevant for you and how they can be optimized, how many you can push to BTP side, and like that you have to do the analysis if they are really relevant. So there are some analysis you can make, that how many times they have been used, how many users are using them. Yes. All those factors you have to take into consideration at the time of your starting the transformation, basically. Yeah.
The idea is to basically reduce as much as possible.
Yeah. Now, I think one of the important aspects of your transformations is workflows. When I say workflow as well as your automations, RPA and all that is there. So typically you have this automation done through your ABAP based workflows and all you have built in ECC and your old legacy systems. Now with S4HANA, BTP has got build process automation area. You can define configurable workflow. So you don't need to know the coding and programming to define those workflows. These are very business friendly workflows. You can configure them with simple steps that who is the performer, who is the reviewer, and like which team, even assign the teams there. You can define that if it is successful, who should be the next level of approval. So that sort of configurable workflows can be created in BTP and can be leveraged. Which for that, typically in ECC, you need a lot of programming and implementation. And when you integrate multiple things, then it becomes really complicated. So here you have option to connect them through APIs, which becomes a big thing because API is something you can call inside your workflows and you can trigger a specific activity or a job or a posting that you want to make, even an email trigger or anything like that for that matter, even a posting inside your S4HANA or any other systems as well, Ariba or anything like that.
In fact, here, just to add to your point, so workflow basically here works cross application also. There, whereas in ECC mostly it was developed and it was very reluctant to for a particular functionality or something like that, right?
Right. I think Ravi, you can maybe touch upon this Signavio, how Signavio can help the businesses in their journey and save cost, or I would say give them ROI. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, this is a step. This is a tool that they have a cloud-based process transformation suite that is available from SAP. We get that as a part of moving to RISE, and this will help you actually look at the way you conduct your business processes. They have process analysis and mining in that. They help you the modeling that they give you a governance around it, and then they also give you the tools that needed to automate a few of the actions. So it's a complete suite, actually, not just one part of it. What this would help you do is to look. They would plug this to your existing ECC system. You can also plug this to some non-SAP systems also. But basically, across your manufacturing, sourcing, procurement, finance, sales, the basic, all these lines of businesses, you can plug in this suite and mine the data that you have. Once you have that, you are able to see look at the efficiencies of the processes. It's completely measurable in terms. It tells you what are the poor processes. How do some of the processes deviate from the majority of that you have in place? What is the time taken for each of the sub processes? And then it gives you everything. And you can drill down to a line item level. You can even focus on an individual user and see whether how well or how badly he has performed. But that aside, it actually shows you what are the outlier processes, how do you consolidate them, and based on actually it has got an it can suggest, it gives you prompts on how you can actually improve it, how you can model to a better and a more efficient process and optimize it. So this is something that you must leverage. So this helps you in, once you are able to leverage and operationalize efficiency, then you would be your turnaround time of your transactions are lower. People achieve more in the same time. Automatically your business efficiency and your entire ROI on your business also goes up. The amount of time in a normal process would take 3 months or so to do this, but actually that is time and money well spent, because this is a one-time effort, and whereas you have a perpetual increase on your whole way you work, you set up, and this translates into monetary terms, in terms of benefits.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
people have used this for mergers and acquisitions. Basically, they have actually they have put in the processes that you currently have in the process in the other place, and then have modeled it. So that is, we can
That's
use it
an
for multiple
interesting
areas.
mergers and acquisitions.
In fact, you should take the advantage because it's coming free of cost along with the rice in the recipe, right? Ravi sir?
Correct. Yes, it is. Yeah. You get the first batch, I mean, the first few licenses come free. After that, if you really need more than that, you will have to procure them. But
Right.
the amount of licenses that they give you are fairly good, and have not really come across people trying to buy many more beyond that.
Yeah, another topic correlated to this is EML. So maybe you can also touch upon Ravi on this EML part as well.
Yes, the EML is another thing that comes to us. The EML, you can actually progress to EML through Signavio also. This is actually enterprise management layer, and this is actually some kind of ready to use global template. It gives you, it suggests standard end-to-end processes that you should have, and this is based on the best practices that SAP has garnered over the years. It has got a localized flavor. It'll tell you, you can choose your regions. Based on the regions, it will give you, your scope IDs. If you use your EML and any other, the other things that come with the EML, you can actually implement and test it much, much faster and much better. This is something you had a similar thing earlier during your ECC days and earlier days, but this, believe me, is far more connected. And this is, this will take you directly from here. You can go set up your discovery box and then take it from there.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a huge advantage, right?
Yes.
Right. So we talk about some of the SAP tools. Yes, go ahead. So when we talk about the new age SAP tool, of course, the BTP we have been talking about. So BTP comes with one of the major components inside it or service inside it is integration suite, which used to be called CPI earlier. So integration suite helps you to connect with a large number of systems. Along with that, SAP has recently done a lot of innovations where you have Gen AI features. You can just put a prompt that I need to connect this system, bring me a scenario like that. So it can prompt you an iFlow, which can point to a scenario where you connect, let's say, Ariba with your S4HANA, or you can have a number of scenarios that you want to connect. And even some of the transformation in XSLT or where you want to manipulate the data and all, there are a lot of useful content already available which you can leverage. Also, SAP has some features where you can even use the API, you can use even your old IDOC concepts to connect with your old ECC on-prem, all kind of hybrid situation that you may have, where you have some systems on cloud, some are on-premise. You can connect all of them using this integration suite. And the best part is, unlike PIPO, which is more of your on-premise solution, here it is more of a cloud-based solution and subscription-based. So once you activate this service in BTP, you can get started and get using. So that's a huge advantage. We recently had a integration suite implementation for a German customer, and there we had scenario to connect the ECC system to the Anaplan system, and integration suite kind of use the IDOC concept to connect the master data piece, and also we use some of the BAPIs to write back data to ECC. So all those things were very well supported, and it's a very sturdy and strong, and I would say now very powerful with the Gen AI features available inside BTP integration suite. And you have the option to also design some of the iFlows in such a way that you can use all kinds of authentications, right? Which is typically, whatever you can think of is available. So APIs, your OData services, your SOAP-based connectivity, all those things are available, and authentication services, SAML, and all those things are available. There are some more innovations SAP is doing. There's options to even do analysis on the existing system that SAP has connected, it can give you some guideline from there. So there is an option to enable that, but of course, that's a choice whether you want to enable your system for SAP to learn from. So that is something interesting SAP has included as part of the integration suite. Yes, right. When we talk about the other suite of applications in BTP, you have DMS where you can handle your document management services. You can build your full stack applications using SAP or app-based approach. You also have option to define or leverage the partner-based solution like that. Earlier, the approach was SI partner would implement the solution in an ECC environment, and then that is only available there.
Right.
Now, if an SI partner has implemented something for a customer and they have published on the BTP platform, which is as good as the apps that you have on Google Play Store or your Apple Store or something. So you can other companies also can leverage those apps. That's the major advantage. So some good things are already there. Let's say for pharma industry or manufacturing industry, you can leverage those applications, which is the biggest advantage to reuse the good things which are available on the BTP. So that's the partner applications I'm talking about. And there are a lot of GenAI features have been included for an application of OCR. Recently, we had a detailed connect with SAP on that solution that SAP has built for capturing the images and converting it into the information and capturing as a document entry inside your S/4HANA by, let's say, using the integration suite basically. So that sort of solutions are the future in your future roadmap, and definitely you should consider them when you go for any large scale transformation projects, because this is your major benefit. This makes the life of business easier. This makes the pace of implementation faster, and this reduces the cost of the overall implementation cycle basically.
So one question, Rakesh here. So from a business perspective, see, any enhancement which I do will be normally until the ECC we used to do on ABAP customer implement. Can I replace the ABAP part of this with some other language so that it's a bit cheaper for me from a business perspective, so that I can replace the ABAP code with something else, and then I get the same results in my core system?
So basically, there are two approaches SAP has given you on BTP. One is the CAP, where you can use Node.js and Java.
Okay.
So if you have a developer who is good in Java or JavaScript, they can still write those applications in those languages, and they can use HANA Cloud as the database.
Mhm.
If they want to write back to the S4 HANA, they can use those data services to read as well as write back the data to those platforms. But you have the option available in CAP. You also have the option to still do programming in ABAP. You can leverage the RAP model for that, RESTful ABAP programming, and you can use theory-based applications still in BTP side. So
why my question was basically because there's a heavy investment involved in the ABAP and everything. Can I go to some other language so that I get a bit cheaper consultants who can really?
I would say still RAP is the easy transformation for you from the ABAP base, but of course you need the CDS, you need a lot of things. So it's there. But I can say you can reuse those concepts or logics on the BTP side, and the implementation time is very fast. So which is something real benefit out of it, I guess. A lot of things which we used to take like 2 months, 3 months, or 6 months time just to build. It is very easy now to build in CAP-based approach or RAP-based approach in BTP as a full stack application, which is a huge thing because and maintenance is much easier compared to your traditional approach. So that way I can say it's a bigger benefit. Now, in terms of ROI, I can say one is, of course, you get one platform where you have number of services where you can activate what you want. You can choose and pick. You don't need the whole infrastructure to support everything. That's a huge investment cost saving. Then you have the best of best available. That means
you have the selection
option available to the business user. So you don't need to upfront put so much money. You can only invest as much as required for the business, the areas that you need to have. So that's a huge benefit. Also, your efficiencies improve with a lot of automated workflows. Your pre-configured templates are available on BTP. So all those things kind of helps you to fasten the pace of implementation And also there are template solutions available in BTP as well. So those things you can leverage. So that's a huge benefit. And Gen AI feature, of course, is there, which SAP has been.
As the business.
Yes, Gen AI is for both, I would say, for business user, consultant, as well as it is available for the uh, developer, end user, consultant, and even developer. Everyone can leverage the features of Gen AI and Joule. You can develop even full stack applications by putting a prompt, and then, of course, little bit of knowledge is required.
So when we talk about the Gen AI features embedding inside SAP BTP, your major benefits are, of course, you can use it for developer, for end user, for consultant. There's so many functionalities out there, which drastically reduces your development time. There's low code, no code features available to build a lot of apps inside SAP BTP. uh, Gen AI is not just going to work out of the box. You have a service in SAP BTP which needs to be activated, and then there is a booster package which needs to be activated. You need to connect your security authorizations, the IS IPS services inside SAP BTP. So there will be a number of steps, but it should not take more than half a day or a day basically to set it up for your organization. So that way it's really powerful. And it's not just Joule or Gen AI. There are other features like document information extraction, sort of, which is OCR solution from SAP. Again, using Gen AI features. There are some other AI-based services available. Premium services and the basic services in AI as well. So again, SAP is investing heavily in those Gen AI features, and I definitely believe that's the way
forward.
forward.
Step number one, step number two, step number three. So that was the beauty of this entire Gen AI.
Yeah, and they have recently introduced some more features in Joule, I think, which is grounding concept that they have introduced. With some, you can put in some of your documents, and Joule can only scan through those documents and not look across the whole globe basically. So in the SAP data itself, it will look through rather than going through the whole library of books and documents across the globe. So that's a grounding concept, is a good concept there, and that's going to help SAP a lot, because SAP is already having so many customers, so much of data. It can learn and give you the right outcome. Basically, yeah, go ahead. Yes, Ravi ji, you can talk about SAP ALM and how it can kind of benefit the businesses. You're on mute, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, got it unmuted. Thank you. This is actually the other upgraded version of what we used to see as a solution manager earlier. This is this is the intelligent cloud-based solution. That will help you right from the operations and the implementations, operations, services, you name it. At every age, every phase of your SAP journey, it is actually with you. It what can I say? I mean, right from the time you start your journey, when we do the implementation, you can set up workshops from here. This gives you a dashboard or a centralized monitoring point for every activity of each phase of your involvement of a project, right from your implementation to ongoing things. So you can set up your workshops here. You can go do your configuration. You can look at your documentation there. You can do your reporting out of it. I mean, the whole thing that you need for an implementation. And now they have added actually your testing strategy and a testing tool. Trijotech licenses come along with your ALM with a steeply discounted price. So that takes care of your implementation. In operations, again, the same thing. It'll help you monitor everything. Services, of course, it does that. So basically, no matter what you're using, it is with you throughout your entire journey. And it does the business process monitoring, the systems monitoring, I mean, people use, I mean, like you have the integration suite, but in addition to that, you can also use a part of this for every kind of an inbound, outbound document or interface through an ALM. At this point of time, it is not mandatory to use a ALM, but what we understand is from the end of the year, this would be actually become mandatory.
Right, right.
And then a part of this, they give you along with the ALM, is giving you a business transformation center license. So that would actually help you in data transformation also.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is something new.
Yes, yeah. So basically what
DevOps
happens?
is another area they have included in
Correct.
this. Solman, of course, as you said, is there.
Yeah. Mm.
DevOps is also, I think, one area which is
Yes,
available.
because you are going to be, this is there, right? You have the entire the life cycle of your project sitting here. Now it is being actually positioned as a DevOps tool.
Correct.
So
Right.
you would actually be able to monitor and develop and deploy at the same time.
Also, I think the activate also is covered in this ALM, right?
Yes, I
The
mean,
entire,
basically, this is actually right now because it was an optional application until now. They didn't really start pushing it, but this integrates with everything. Basically,
right.
right from the you can design from here. So you can do data transformation, you can design, you can do everything. Every other cloud product that you use, you can integrate here, and it
Oh,
works like that. And since it's not cloud based also, you can in the hybrid things earlier on, with the what was in in-prem, it can still go connect.
right.
Right.
So till now, I think the people were not using it well, but I think from maybe next year onwards, once it becomes mandatory, that will
Yes.
this will actually also help you in your innovation adoption well,
Right.
because you see the whole journey from here.
Right.
Yeah, so I think ALM is, of course, replacement tool for Solman, but there's a lot of new functionalities and cloud-based functionalities are available for your cloud infrastructure, where we talk about even movement of your objects or uh, movement of your, I would say, objects between the tenants and things like that. That is something definitely available as part of the ALM. But ALM is, I think, proposed tool from SAP now. SAP is, we should implementing it to follow that ALM approach because that's the future. So definitely we should be going for SAP ALM. uh, yeah. So now coming to the last section of the webinar, maybe we touch upon the uh, what is the right cloud offering you need to choose when you go for the between you have to choose between the public and the private cloud. So yeah, Rakesh, over to you. Maybe you can touch upon.
Yeah. So basically, so it's all depends on what kind of business you are in and what kind of processes are there. So if it is an SME business, okay, typically you go for grow with SAP, that is not for a public cloud. So the advantage which comes with the public cloud is it's a very lean time. Within say around 12 weeks, you can implement the entire public. And if your process are very pretty much standard, okay, then this is something which you should always look for the public cloud. It's a straightforward case. No enhancement, nothing. It's a simple, straightforward, plug and play kind of stuff. But of course, you will require some data migration activities and stuff like that. And with the basic minimum configuration, you are ready, you are set to go.
When it comes to my custom development, if I want to build.
So again, the moment the custom enhancement or custom development comes, so you have to opt for something called BTP. So when you buy the license of this public cloud, you will have some credits along with the BTP. So probably you can see whether you can use this or not. In case you are not able to utilize that, probably you need to buy some more credits and then go for some kind of enhancements. But basically, the idea behind public cloud is that you go with the standard. That's the idea.
If a customer has decided to go for, let's say, public cloud, so what will be the major benefits if they go for public cloud in terms of ROI?
So when you talk about ROI, everything is taken care by the SAP, right?
The standard practices is something you are.
It's OPEX model. Again, what Again, everything boils down to the OpEx model versus CapEx model. So you invest minimum. Whatever you want, you subscribe for that. But you don't subscribe for the entire world, right? What you require. And whatever you require, you can enhance along with the databases.
Because what happens to the integration between, let's say, I have a ECC legacy system, I'm connected with based cloud systems or on-prem systems to bring the data.
So basically, cloud is normally a fresh implementation. It is not a migration. So wherever migration is involved, when there is a already existing system,
So typically, the greenfield, I can say,
it's mostly applicable for the greenfield.
the integration part will be
Right.
What happens with the custom development? You cannot really, I think the stack
You need to realign with your standard processes and then move on with it.
stack is anyways not open to kind of do the development in public cloud. That is something maybe a shock for you if
Careful analysis is required before you really go for the selection of which cloud product you want, public or not. Very, very careful. You need to also look in from a future your business perspective, your objectives, business goals, how we are progressing or how we are actually moving on the business. So what you want to add lot of additional processes moving forward, then probably you need to rethink of for a private cloud rather than public cloud. So that's a careful analysis is required.
I think some of the customers I have interacted with have a blend of RISE and public cloud as well. So they typically are using RISE and they acquire some companies.
Yes.
Some of those companies are having smaller footprint. They are maybe not using SAP. So for them, it's a quick win. They can go for public cloud, implement the standard.
It's called two-type system.
Yeah, I mean that helps. You can connect the systems and get the information using integration suite. But generally, that's I would say also a interesting approach for the companies who quickly, let's say, appointing a lot of other companies and want to set up their systems in SAP landscape. So public cloud, I guess, good fit for them. Companies are having very complex process as for, let's say, manufacturing company with the BOM and routing and running and running.
No, external, there are a lot of interfaces.
This is very complicated to handle, let's say, public. I mean, but if it is too complicated, then you can think of RISE with SAP or the private cloud option, and you can also think of
This is nothing but like a copy of our on-prem system, wherein you are free to do any kind of enhancement. But again, the idea is to reduce our enhancement as we are discussing from the distance side.
So, what are the benefits if the customer? We talked about public cloud a lot. What are the benefits if a customer goes for RISE with SAP? Like, what are the things they should look at basically?
So I would say that as we are discussing from the point one where the advantage of SAP are, so all those aspects needs to be brought in when you go for a private cloud, right? So you need to look into the hyperscaler. Here the new item which is the hyperscaler. So you need to. So here the advantage is the private cloud RISE with SAP is that you can take the database as much as you want. It is not that you need to buy a
to scale up your
So these are all the additional I would say benefit, or you can convert it say ROI also in terms of this thing.
I think there is the licensing is also not the traditional licensing that we have been seeing. So there are different weightage of licensing for if it is a developer or if it is an end user. So that is also something you can look at. I think a lot of tools we have been discussing in this webinar already. A lot of tools are available for covering your business processes, giving you standard templates, and even giving you some of the integration architectures or templates using integration suite. Or you have the plethora of applications from, let's say, from SAP standard services or applications in BTP, or you have from the third-party partners also published on the BTP platform. So those things are some of the key features you can leverage. That of course with public cloud is also available, but I think with private cloud, if you're having a complex business processes, you can build those applications which are, let's say, a Z report or a Z program or the Z functionality that we have built. You can build all those things in BTP. BTP has got HANA Cloud as the backend database. You can store the custom informations there, and if you are dealing with the standard tables, let's say ECLOOKUP for finance or macro or that sort of information you want to integrate with your application, you can think of then building OData services and connecting your S/4HANA RISE with SAP with the BTP application. So that's pretty much, I think, the solution approach. But in terms of, I would say, benefit is that we talked about clean code,
All these flows there actually.
we talked about workflow benefits, we talked about number of BTP services. Those are the things you cannot miss out when you go for a typical your SAP implementation. Whether you go for RISE with SAP or you go with SAP public cloud, either cases you need to look at that, and accordingly you can reap the benefits how you can leverage both the systems. Okay. Yes, I think we have touched upon the Go with SAP. So more or less, we are end of the session. We'll be covering more in future as well. And thanks for joining the session. And looking forward to connecting with all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.